intense emotions, but in a safe way.
Studied lots of acting methods.
So I started to research what emotions were physically so that we can produce them without the psyche involved.
I suddenly realized, wow, I can access emotions and I don't have to traumatize myself, where I can be intense but safe at the same time.
Welcome back to Flavor part of dailyovation.com. I'm Joe Winger. Today we're continuing our conversation, part of the series, with Stefan Perdekamp and Sarah Victoria from the Perdekamp Emotional Method, PEM. Let's get back into the conversation. PEM was first created and founded in the 1990s, and today we're decades later. So I'm going to ask you the impossible, which is, how can we explain what happened in the 90s, how that started, and bring us all the way up to today in like 3 to 4 sentences? Is there any human way that's possible?
Okay, well, let's try. So I started out as a theater director and wanted to have what Sarah just said in intense emotions, but in a safe way. I didn't want to be responsible for colleagues getting hurt or having long-term psychological problems. So I started to research what emotions were physically so that we can produce them without the psyche involved, which is the reason for the problems actors develop, that the psyche is convinced to go into states. And so we developed exercises that help to address emotions on a physical level, and the actors can play their hearts out. And afterwards, they can go home and care about the children, and they are okay.
So I studied lots of acting methods. After school, I decided to become an actor and studied lots of acting methods. And when even studying lots of acting methods didn't get me to what I felt was needed back then. I could not really describe it and formulate it in one sentence, but something was missing. And this missing link I found when I auditioned for Stefan's school, because I suddenly realized, wow, I can access emotions and I don't have to traumatize myself. And I played a character, for example, a murderer, and I felt with another acting approach, and I felt the switch in my head, in my brain, where I could not identify reality anymore. Practicing how do I, play a murderer, becoming intense, and I went beyond that, and it shell shocked me. It really shell shocked me, and so I was worried to go there again, and in what kind of way, and do I feel safe? And so that was for me the journey. Then finding something that is reliable, where I can be intense but safe at the same time. And so that's when I found PEM as really the missing link to all of this. And I studied it for 3 years, the whole program, and everything was based on that approach.
I'm assuming you hear these stories and you see these stories all the time, but how does it feel to you when you maybe see the actor click and it starts working and they get their performance elevates, but they're also getting healthier in the process? How does it make you feel? And can you tell us about one example of noticing that in someone?
Yeah, we had many people who came from other approaches, and we had certain problems, and you teach them very, very simple, very effective physical exercises that they repeat. And then, after a while, when the nervous system sort of catches on and the subconscious learns, aha, okay, so this is the way that I can do it all every time, there is some, this calm that suddenly sets in. So the people who were stressed, who, when they start performing the handshake or whatever, the thing is, and then a couple of weeks later you see them and they are focused on the scene and their situation, their emotion, and there's no fear around it. I find that very satisfying, and I find that they're very humane. I feel we can look into the human condition without disturbing another human condition. The actor doesn't have to sacrifice their health in order to give insight to the audience.